What's going on, everyone? So we have an official release date for the upcoming Scary Movie 6. So a scary date, 6/12/2026. So it's coming out June 12th of 2026. So we have to still wait a whole nother year, a little over, about a year and a half, before we'll actually get the upcoming Scary Movie 6, which I am excited for. One, because the Wayans brothers are back. They're the ones that pioneered and led the charge for the first two films. And then it was just really unfortunate how they ended up getting pushed out. But they're back. They're back in business. And I'm excited for that because the first two films, in my opinion, were the best in the franchise. And then I thought like 3 was good. 4, I thought that they kind of got progressively worse. Like, I don't think any of them were like terrible, but it's just the nostalgia. Maybe it's just the time I grew up, the nostalgia, things like that. I am excited for this. I mean, still to this day, Scary Movie, like the original Scary Movie, is still like one of my favorite movies ever. Like, I can quote that entire movie. Like, every time I watch Scream, which sucks because, I basically built this channel on the back of Scream. So every time I watch Scream, it just like gets ruined because of Scary Movie, right? I just think of like certain scenes and stuff where like I'm watching a scene and I'm just like just start laughing because I'm like, oh, hey, that was, that happened in this one, right? So, nonetheless, I'm excited to see kind of what direction do they go, how do they approach this new Scary Movie. I hope that they don't hold back, right? Like, I do feel like, the kind of cancel culture, the outroar for things, right, is not what it used to be. A couple years ago, it was very different. I think like the comedy scene has really emerged more. I think people are getting away with more in the comedy front. I think more and more people are kind of, separating comedic and just like hate and all that stuff, right? Like, so again, I'm not saying that they have to be like overly offensive or anything crazy like that. But can we tell some like classic joke? Can we get back to something like you look at like the original Scary Movie and they like there was nothing like really vulgar or anything. It was just these good old slapstick jokes. But some of those jokes, wouldn't smooth over well the last few years. Or like you look at like Not Another Teen Movie, like some of these like great like memorable like spoof comedies and stuff, right? It's just like I understand it's supposed to be silly, it's supposed to be goofy, but there was some like very like well thought out jokes, especially Scary Movie. It was very attention to detail. Like there were so many things that like, like it's just like Scream. Like when you watch Scream over and over and over again, every time you watch Scream, you notice something. Like Scary Movie was just like that. And that's what I loved. We do know that Ghostface is coming back or is expected to come back for this upcoming Scream or Scary Movie, which makes sense, right? You got Scream 7 coming out. They just did 5 and 6. They're supposedly greenlit Scream 8. And if anyone would know, it would be the people behind Scary Movie because it's also coming out through Paramount. So, they I'm sure are aware of like kind of the Scream trend. So I could see, so Ghostface is expected to kind of still be tied into it, which is great. I'm all for that, right? I mean, like I said, the classic Scary Movie was my favorite and still is my favorite. So, and, I thought they did a really great job with Ghostface and just, again, the comedy and humor. They bring back Doofy. That's the real question. Does Doofy come back? And if so, how are they gonna swing that? Like, that could be kind of interesting. Obviously, we'll see what the cast shapes out to be. And, I'm sure we're going to get plenty of, rumors and details and information coming out between now and then. But it was really great to see that we got an official release date. We've heard basically everyone from the original cast all talk about how they would love to return. We'll see if we start getting those announcements soon of, like Anna Faris. Is she coming back? Is Brenda coming back, right? Do we get, Regina Hall, right? Do we get some of these classic actors and actresses back that we can see these films in? Also, what kind of direction do they go as far as the films that they spoof, right? Like, you look at, obviously, like, each Scary Movie film spoof handful of films. It also spoofed things that weren't necessarily, like, horror movies. But you look at, like, Marlon made the Haunted House and Haunted House 2, which kind of dove into, like, the paranormal activity and, like, Annabelle and stuff like that. there's a lot. I mean, because you got to think between the last Scary Movie and this, between Scary Movie 5 and now 6, a lot of stuff has came out over the years. A lot of different directions that they could go. My guess is that they'll probably like stick to like the modern times with like the requels, and how like every movie is like a requel to the classic, and they bring back the legacy characters. I think you could really do something fun there. Right, like bring back, like I said, Regina Hall and Anna Faris, and kind of do the whole legacy callback. Right, and you even have Scream back in it, and Ghostface back in it, right? So you're like doing the Scream callback, and it's just like a direct sequel to part one, and you're doing this like funny, like kind of mocking the modern times, and it's a remake. No, that's what this is. Like, this is a remake reboot type thing, right? This is a legacy sequel, and you can kind of tie into that because every horror movie is being remade, and all the classics are being redone. Like, I think it'd be cool. You could kind of like really tap in and tie into that, right? Of like the whole like, hey, like this is a direct sequel. No, it's a remake, right? It's both, right? Like, and just kind of, you could touch into The Exorcist again, right? Like, what's funny is like, think about all the movies that have came out recently, and think of the original Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2, right? Like, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, you had Scream, right? Things like that. You had The Exorcist, you had a House on Haunted Hill, right? Like, all of these movies are back, right? Like, Scream is back. I Know What You Did Last Summer is getting a new sequel. The Exorcist Believer, you could do a Halloween callback, right? Like, literally, all of these movies, like, all the movies that they, like, mocked and made fun of back, in, what was it, 2000 or whatever, like, you can do that all over. Like, literally, you could do the same thing again, and then just call it a sequel, call it a requel, whatever, and just kind of tap into that. Right, like, and I think that could go a long way, and just kind of have like, God, I feel like you like maybe have like direct copy scenes again that are like, maybe like a slightly different take at the end or whatever, and it's just like, God, I feel like we've seen this before, right? Like, you could just again do some like fun stuff in that regard. But look, I am pumped about this. I am like genuinely stoked. I'm obviously a big fan of the Scary Movie franchise and the Wayans Brothers. Wayans Brothers was a good show. It was, and they didn't even get a final episode. So, I'm really looking forward to how this plays out, how they develop this, and what they end up doing in that regard. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, what kind of horror movies do you want to see in the upcoming Scary Movie? Are there any in particular that you'd want them to touch on? Do you like the idea of like a requel idea or whatever? Do you have any like key things that you want them to hit on? Are you excited that we're getting a new Scary Movie? You think like, nah, the idea's kind of played out. Are you excited for it because the Wayans Brothers are in it? Like, would they be able to get away with this if the Wayans Brothers weren't in it? Is kind of the question. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, either way, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.